All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today on this beautiful Tuesday. As always, let's turn up all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. So we want to make sure that we start our day off with massive action standing for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, centering yourself, body, mind, spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trust in your education, strategy, and trading skills and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obey your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right, so make sure we're focused mentally, ready to dive in. So if everybody can hear me okay, drop me a 1 in the chat, please, and we will get things rocking. All right, perfect, appreciate it. So we got news. That definitely moved the market last night. News that we've been waiting on, but interesting reactions that some may not have necessarily planned for. So let's hop over to, we'll go trading economics and look at the calendar, and then we will dive into the charts. All right. So, boom. Japan, right? We've been waiting on it. We've been talking about it, and it finally came, right? Japan ends negative rates, and they scrapped the yield curve control. The Bank of Japan raises key rate to around 0 to 0.1% from negative 0.1, matching the expectation and halting its 8 years of negative interest rates. It's the first interest rate hike since 2007, as inflation has exceeded the central bank's 2% target in over a year, while the largest companies in the countries had agreed to raise salaries by 5.28%, the biggest wage hike in over 3 decades. However, two of the BOJ's 9 members, they dissented. They did not agree with the decision. They wanted to wait. The central bank also terminated the yield curve control for 10-year government bonds, and they discontinued the purchases of ETFs and Japan real estate investment trusts. Further, BOJ will slowly reduce the pace of corporate bond buying before fully stopping in about a year's time. Still, the bank added that in case of a rapid rise in long-term rates, it would make nimble responses, such as increasing the amount of bond purchases. So they increased the rate, scrapped the yield curve control. So they made some broad sweep changes on their policy. However, in the statement, Governor Ueda said that policy is still going to be accommodative. right? Everything is going to be data dependent. So he didn't give any future guidance on what could happen. Um, but everything that was expected to happen happened. Um, and it was already priced into the market. So that's why you saw the yen weaken. And you've seen the yen weaken. It's because it was all already priced into the market. But they finally raised it. They didn't give any insight on what the future could hold. There are some folks that are anticipating at least one more increase this year, maybe two. But that's all going to yet to be seen. We still have smaller organizations, smaller companies to release their wage growth targets. So as that information comes out, if it comes out similar to the larger organizations, then we could hear from the Bank of Japan about further changes, right? To that end, though, they still stand on the fact that if there are, and they haven't said this, but it's just a thing that they stand on when it comes to excessive movements in the market. So we'll look at the dollar yen. That 152 level is still in sight, right? As we get to those levels, if we're still seeing excessive movement to the upside, we could see the Bank of Japan step in, because they said that they'll still use corporate bond purchases and things like that. If they need to step into the market, they will do so. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But we're starting that change for the Bank of Japan, right? And this will be the start of longer term changes for the yen over the long term. But also they're going to be looking at price increase. So CPI, of course, CPI is going to be a key number that they watch. And if that inflation number continues to creep up, then they will also look to make changes, right? Because they want to make sure that they continue to manage the inflation level, what they call appropriately. All right. So we're finally here. We're finally here. So we'll see how things continue to move forward. Also, last night we had Australia. They held their rates as expected at 4.35%. The move came amid signs of economic growth. That economic growth had slowed following a total of 425 basis point rate hike over the past 2 years. Meanwhile, inflation continues to ease amid moderation in goods prices. The cost of services stayed elevated with a more gradual pace of easing. So things are slowly coming down, but slowly coming down. The board said the highest priority is returning inflation to its target in a reasonable time frame, adding that it needed to be sure that prices are moving toward a 2 to 3% range in 2025, and that the midpoint in 2026. The bank viewed the interest rate path remained uncertain, as it did not rule out it didn't rule anything in or out, and is going to be relying upon data and assessing the risk. The committee, they reiterated that they're going to closely monitor the global economy, trends in domestic demand, and the outlook for inflation and the labor market, right? The labor market in Australia also still remains high. So that is also throwing a little wrench in their plans, which is cool. So the board also kept the interest rate on exchange settlement balances unchanged at 4.25%. So tons happened last night. Super interesting movement in the market. So we'll take a look at the Aussie pairs as well, because we're right in line with most of those, not all of them, but most of them. So that's what happened out of Australia. Then we'll read this one, and then we'll hop over to the calendar. Japanese yen depreciated to 150 per dollar on Tuesday, sliding to its weakest levels in about 2 weeks, even after the Bank of Japan raised its interest rates. Hiking for the first time since 2007, ending 8 years of negative rates. Central bank also abandoned its yield curve control. Da, 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 da. Meanwhile, analysts suggest that the yen weakened further after the decision, as a move had already been priced in by the markets and was long overdue, right? And investors now look ahead to U.S. Federal Reserve policy later this week for further guidance, right? So they confirmed that that is already priced into the market, which is why we saw the weakness in the yen. Okay. So big news, big news. So over to the calendar. Let me do a refresh real quick. There we go. So, um, on Monday, final core CPI year on year for the euro came in as expected, right in line. Then we had here's that cash rate there, and the BOJ policy rate there. Then the press conferences came afterward, early morning. So on today, we have CPI for the Canadian dollar, right? This will be big news for Canada, see where things move, but it could also push some of our trades in our direction as well, especially if the CPI number comes in above expectation. Um, then tomorrow we got CPI for the pound, and we have FOMC meeting, federal funds rate for the United States, which all eyes are looking at. So we could see some consolidation throughout the day today. As we look forward to the news tomorrow, we got GDP for the New Zealand dollar also tomorrow, and unemployment rates for the Australian dollar. Excuse me. And on Thursday, um, Swiss National Bank, their policy rate at 4:30 in the morning on Thursday. We got PMI numbers coming out of Europe, and then we have rate statement for the pound, right? Rate statement for the pound at 8 a.m. So busy second half of the week, right? Rate statements coming out all over the place, and other data, right? Euro Summit, retail sales, PMI data, and then on Friday we got Jerome Powell speaking as well. So busy, excuse me, busy week. Tons to look forward to, tons of movement to happen. So we will continue to stay abreast of what's happening in the market. Any questions from a fundamental perspective, or is there anything that you guys saw that you want to bring to the table? No, nope. All right, cool deal. Cool deal. So let's hop over to the charts. We'll start at the dollar. We'll come back to the Euro Swissy relatively quickly because we got an 80-20 here on the 4 that I also want us to take a look at. But to the dollar first, boom. Pattern that Donnet called out. Bingo. Right? We got that right tip to form. Dollar pushing to the upside. Dollar pushing to the upside. Right? Running long. So we'll continue to monitor. We'll see how things play out coming into tomorrow. Right? See if dollar continues to get the push, or do we see price turnover and push back down? So moving to the upside. Moving to the upside. Okay. Come back to the daily. This is a look on the daily time frame. There's that crown pattern there. So we'll see how things continue to move for the dollar based on what the Fed has to say. All right. So we come down to the one. We'll drop the fib on here. Boom. And there we are on the fib running off that right tip. To the upside, we hit a D extension, looking for a pullback, and then likely continuations to the upside, at least in the short term. All right. So that is the DXY. Over to this dollar yen. So come back to the daily. Here's our daily time frame. Okay, zoom out. There's our daily time frame. This is a sub fib. I'm gonna pull out of here. We're looking at the primary move. All right. So 618 retracement matching D extension 152. Right. I definitely believe we're headed there. right? Strong bullish action. The catalyst could be the FOMC meeting tomorrow, right? But we're pushing long. We're pushing long, right? Come back. We got a daily level of resistance that we're sitting at right now, right here. Um, so we'll watch this level. However, mm, we'll watch this level, right? However, I think we're due to break this and continue moving to the upside to get to that D extension that we've been waiting on at 152.205. All right, so we're headed long on the dollar yen, which again is kind of expected, right? Coming down to the four, similar story, 618 retracement, matching extension 152.311. Okay, so it's all pointing to this range here that we could likely get to before we see some changes. And that change or that catalyst could be right because we got strong impulsive movement, right? Kind of makes sense with the decision that was made, but definitely believe the Bank of Japan is going to be watching for continued excessive movements, right? So we're going to watch this zone here. Um, we're going to watch this zone here as price continues to push to the upside. See if we're able to get there. Take out the D extension on the 4-hour and the daily, and then as we come down to the one, and let me see here. This is what we have on the 1 hour, right? 8-6 retracement, pushing long. 8-6, I'm sorry, the 118 extension level, right in line with that zone that we got our eyes on, right? Right in line with the zone that we got our eyes on. So everything is lining up on this one for this 152 level, right? Everything is coming into alignment. Everything is making sense. Um, so we're going to continue to pay attention there and look for that move to the upside. Hold on 1 second, everybody. All right. I'm gonna look for this range there, right? It's all lining up the same way. Okay. And even if you run a sub fib off the low, right, you got price running to the upside there. Okay. So that is the dollar yen. Any questions here, right? We're long. Benny's been sitting in this one. Benny's been talking about it. We'll look at the caddying as well, but we're pushing to the upside, headed to that D extension there. All right. Benny was looking for this one to continue running long and these yen crosses to continue running long. And we got it. And we got it. All right. No questions. All right. Cool deal. Let's slide back over. I want to look at this Euro Swissy, which is an active opportunity. And then we'll slide on. So we're here, right? We're pushing to the upside on this Euro Swiss. Try to get my fib to pop back in on it. Maybe not. That's the longer term fib. All right, we'll work from here. There we go. All right, so we're pushing to the upside nonetheless, right? Pushing to the upside off the daily time frame. My mouse is being finicky this morning. There we go. All right, so we're headed to the upside. We run into this level of daily resistance here at 96,582. All right, been making higher highs, higher lows, but been running to the upside for a minute. All right, and that's not it. Running to the upside for a minute. Boom. There we go. Right. Daily time frame. We got a shallow retracement, pushing to the daily level, pulling back now. Right. We got 118, 127 zone just above this cluster of daily and weekly resistance. All right. So as we come down to the 4, boom. Didn't quite get to that 382 level there, right? So shallow retracement, pushing to the 118 and 127 zone, got us to that daily resistance level, strong bearish action. All right, strong bearish action. We're pulling back now. So I'm looking for this 80-20 scenario to play out. All right, I'm looking for price to pull back to this range here, around 95, 96, 496, and then looking for the move down. All right, we're already getting that pullback action now. So we're right in our 118, 127 zone. So I'm looking for that move to the downside. And if you want to run your trend lines to the upside, looking for a trend line break, do so like so. And boom. All right. So there are your trend lines there on the 4. All right. And if you identify your opportunities on any time frame, but you use the 1 hour time frame for the entry, right? You bring these trend lines down to the 1, looking for a trend line break. Oops. Boom. All right. You see we bounced off that middle trend line there and pushing back to the upside. So this is how we do this. All right. We know we got an 80-20 on the 4. Okay. Just want to make sure my trend lines are good. All right. So we know we got 80-20 on the 4. So we got our trend lines running to the upside, looking for a trend line break on the 1 hour. Got an inner trend line that would run like that. And that's pushing back above. Okay. Now, if you wanted to get extremely aggressive with your trend lines, you could run an inner trend line that will come like this. All right. As you're mapping them out to get as close to the highest point as possible without cutting off any wicks or bodies. Boom. There you have it. Right. There you have it. There are your trend lines to the upside on the 1 hour. Boom, there's your trend line break, right? Would have been on that bearish candle there, and now you're getting your pullback, right? So we're pulling back, looking for a higher price, right? And then we can look for that opportunity to get short. All right. So that's why I'm looking for this little pullback here that I have drawn out, right? Looking for a high price after the trend line break, and then look for the move back down to the downside. Okay. Any questions here on this Euro Swissy?
Ryan, I have a question.
Ms. K, good morning.
Good morning. I'm not yet in the car. Um, I'm actually running a little bit late. So I'm looking at your trend lines, and trend lines have always okay. So you're saying that these trend lines, you're looking at a trend line break on the one for your entry.
Mhm.
So as you were drawing those inner trend lines, so you've already like that inner trend line broke the body of the wick, that inner one right there. So
Something like
like
this here?
um yes. So and it's already happened. So I guess I'm confused
Yep.
as to where the entry would be
Yep.
with those trend lines.
So when you're drawing your trend lines, right? So what does the trend line tell you?
It tells you the momentum and the direction.
Correct. And then when the trend line is broken, what does that tell you?
It means that the direction is changing. It means that it's gonna, in that case, it's going bearish.
Correct, right? So
Uh-huh.
when you're drawing your trend lines, you're only looking at the price action moving in the direction of the trend, right?
Okay.
So this price action here that just recently happened doesn't
Yes.
matter, right? So we will act like, for the sake of drawing the trend lines, that none of this exists. And we're just looking at the price movement to the upside,
Okay.
right? So price is moving to the upside here, and we're working to get to the highest point without cutting
Uh-huh.
off any wicks or bodies that are moving in that direction, right?
Oh. Okay.
right? So the key here is not changing any of the verbiage, right? We want to get to the highest point possible without cutting off any wicks or body. So where's your highest point and how do you get there? So this action over here doesn't matter because we're looking for the highest point, right?
Okay.
Because that
Yeah.
that break of the trend line is going to tell us that the direction, the speed, and momentum is changing. So
Right.
what we're looking for is the change in direction for an entry opportunity to then trade in that new direction. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So you're only looking at the price action and the candles and the wicks moving to the upside in this scenario, right? And if it's trend is going down and you're
Uh-huh.
drawing down trend lines, then you're only looking at price action that's moving down so that you can get to the lowest point to see when price makes that directional change.
Okay. So where you've got the circle, that high point,
Mhm.
where if prices is dropping where you're not paying attention to the price,
Yep,
where do you where is the entry with
correct.
those
So
trend lines?
and you this will be something that you can test for yourself, but
Uh-huh.
you can either enter at the close of that candle, right? Because that is the bearish candle trend line break, right? That
Okay.
long bearish candle here. Or what I'm doing in this scenario is waiting for the pullback, right? I'm waiting for the high price here to then enter when we get the pullback, right? And you can measure that like so my trade setup is here on the 4 hour time frame, right? So I know I got an 80-20 on the 4 hour. Okay.
Okay.
So I know that I'm looking for a trade to the downside. So I'm just looking for a pullback on the lower
Hmm.
time frame. So I just chose to come down to the 1 hour time frame and look for price to pull back into this range here. Okay. You can
Okay.
also, if you wanted to, come down to the 15-minute time frame, right? Or the 30-minute time frame. And here you have an opportunity to run your fib, right? You can run your fib and now you can look for price to pull back into your sweet spot,
Okay.
right? For that entry
Okay.
opportunity when you're looking for a
Oh,
pullback.
okay.
So one of those two scenarios, because we know that, right, our 80-20 is here on the four, and the close of that bearish candle, right? This is the
Hmm.
close of that long candle on that 1 hour time frame, was
Yes.
essentially the close of this 4 hour candle as well, which is still in our zone, right? This is
Okay.
still within our zone to trade. So you can, because looking at it on the 4 hour time frame, so it's a longer move. So you could take that trade off of that close of that candle, allow price to swing, just knowing that at some point it's going to pull back, right? Knowing that it'll go on a drawdown a little bit, but as price swings in your favor, boom, you're good to go, right? And price will move in your favor as the market moves, right? So you have there's two
Okay.
different scenarios that you could take, two different approaches you could take, and which one you choose kind of you can test that on how you want to enter these types of scenarios where prices already started
Hmm.
but is still in your sweet spot zone. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, sort of. I have to play with it.
Yep, for sure,
Okay.
for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? No. All right, cool deal. Benny, good morning, bro.
Ryan, good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good.
Good, dude. Anything top of mind for you, bro? Any thoughts on the BOJ or Reserve Bank of Australia or anything else for that matter from a fundamental perspective?
No, man, nothing that I'm pretty sure you already covered. I was up late last night posting some stuff in the community, some key bullet points
Yeah.
regarding both of those situations. So nothing outside of there. It's I guess it's cool to see that it was already priced in for the most part, which you had talked about, right?
Yeah.
Before, so we'll continue to see, today, what happens, regarding some of the BOJ stuff, and I haven't gotten anything yet on the forward guidance. Has anything else come out?
No, they he was very hesitant and really walked the line pretty well on not giving any forward guidance in the conversation. He said that everything would be data dependent.
Mm,
Um, and they'll be ready to make decisions based on what the data tells them.
right.
So they are looking at the future wage increases for the smaller organizations, and CPI is going to be their one of the key numbers that they look at from an inflationary perspective. So if inflation kicks up, they'll be ready to make additional changes. Um, and if the wage increases continue to exceed the expectations, then they'll be ready to make decisions where necessary. But he didn't give a forecast on how many rate increases, or if any will be any additional are already planned. He didn't give any of that insight. So is all looking at the data for them. One of the things I am kind of watching, I told the team, is still watching the excessive movements as we approach that 152 level.
Yep.
Because that's never off the table for them, regardless of the situation. So that's something that I am watching on the backside. But he didn't give any indication on forward guidance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. So I was
go ahead, sorry.
no, I was just saying. So it's pretty much they're maintaining the same thing from some of the stuff that I was reading
Yeah,
last night. Yeah.
yeah. And they'll run off. They'll slow down their purchases throughout the year of the corporate
Hmm.
bonds. Um, so yeah, but that's going to be a slow trickle down over the course of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all I've been keeping track on is you know just continue to track the data from overnight to see if anything had changed or anything. So
yes,
keeping
sir.
the cards close to the vest, like you said, remaining data dependent. So onward and upward.
Onward and upward, man. It's
Like you said, watching those key levels.
yeah, yeah, and on that dollar yen, we're right
Hmm.
there at everything higher time frame down to lower time frame is all lining up for that 152, 205, the 300 level. So just watching that to see what happens when price gets there. So
Yeah. So I mean, it was good. I was overly cautious on some things just because you never know how the market's gonna react. But
yeah.
for the most part, a lot of the setups that we've been sitting in for a while are moving in the right direction. That's a good thing.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah, especially when we look at those Aussies.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Cool deal, man.
Right.
Appreciate you. Any thoughts on that entry conversation with Kay? I think you caught most of it.
No, you're spot on. You're spot on.
All right. Cool deal. Cool deal. All right, appreciate you, bro. All right, so that is the Euro Swiss. Are there any other questions on this one?
What up, Ryan?
What up, one?
Um, can you go back to the 15 minute? Because I know
Yes,
you
sir.
said you kind of zoomed in with it. So whenever you go down to the lower, it's still the same move. Cause like what kind of confused me is like now it's the fib reversed. That really don't factor in, or it's like the same thing. Cause on the other one it's a 80-20, and on this one you're trying to
Yeah.
get back to the retracement level. So
So, right, you're looking at two different things here, right? So, on the higher time frame, and one of the things you
mm-hmm,
can do, on the higher time frame, you have the 80-20, and this is the trade that you're looking for an entry on, right?
mm-hmm,
So what you can do is you can copy that smart fib and bring it down so that you can see it on the lower time frame like that, right?
mm-hmm.
So now you see you're in your 80-20 scenario. This sub fib here is strictly looking for your entry. That's it.
Okay.
Your trade, you're looking for a short trade, right? A sell in this scenario, right? Because that's that
Mm-hmm,
based off of your higher time frame setup, right? So
mm-hmm.
you're looking for a sell here. So all this sub fib is telling you is when does price get into my sweet spot? That's all
Okay.
this is telling you, right? And just like our C to D moves, you want to wait for price to pull back into your sweet spot, right? So same thing here. You want to look for price to pull back into your sweet spot because you know you're looking for a short. You know you're looking for price to move back down to the downside. So you want price to pull back into your sweet spot. And then boom, set your stop outside the A or outside the high. Actually, right? It would be outside that D extension on the 4, right? And now you're
Mm.
looking at your move to the downside. So that's just your entry opportunity there on the move to the downside. So don't confuse yourself because this is your move here, right? This is just looking for the entry on the lower time frame if you want to come down to this time frame to do that. You don't have to. Like I said, you can take that entry off the close of that 1 hour candle or the 4 hour candle and keep it moving, right? This is just if you want and your day allows it, your schedule allows it to come down to the lower time frame to look for the pullback.
Okay. Makes sense.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
No
Yeah.
problem. All right. Cool. So that is the Euro Swissy. Let's take a look at we'll come back to the top. Look at this Aussie cat. All right. I'm looking at this one, talking about it for quite some time, looking for that move back down to the downside, right? Here on the daily time frame, we had the move down. We talked about the crown pattern potential here, right? And we said we want to see if we get this right tip to fully fill out. And you see price turn over and push down to the downside, right? So we're moving short, and that Aussie rate statement, they held rates. They're looking at the data that gave us some more movement to the downside here. So price is moving in our favor. Okay. So we come down to the 4 where the entry on this one was, right? And Benny's been talking about this move here. Take this out. Benny's been talking about this move here, right? We looked at it on the 1 hour and we're looking at it here on the 4. 1 hour, the fib got taken out, but here on the 4, we pushed back into that 618 retracement, right? We had some consolidation and then boom, right? That move to the downside is happening. Okay. The data just confirmed it and accelerated the price action. Right. So we're moving to the downside here. Boom. So looking for price to continue moving to the downside, matching the extension, 86,919. Right. And we'll see what the Canadian data that comes out later this week has in store. And we're looking for pullbacks and continuations to the downside here. Right. So this one is moving in our favor out of the zone. If you took the trade out the 618 retracement zone, you're up 100 pips. That was sometime earlier in the month, right? So boom, took it last week. There you are, 100 pips to the downside, right? So that one is moving in our favor as expected, and we'll continue to monitor the pullbacks and continuations to the downside there. Questions on the Aussie CAD? And there's your move on the one. Nope.
Nope. Glad to see that one played out in that direction.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Took a sweet time, but made it happen. Made it happen. All right, so that's the Aussie CAD, the Aussie Swiss. Similar story. Maybe not. Hold on. What I have here? No, not a similar story. I apologize. We're looking at a setup on the 1 hour, but coming here to the 4, right? We had a 618 retracement. Overall, we're looking long, but we're just pulling back here, right? We're just pulling back. So we come down to the 1 to the setup. Boom, 80-20 scenario. We had consolidation there in the zone. We finally got the breakdown to the downside. Boom. We broke back below this previous level of daily support, right? So we're pushing down, pull back, retesting that level. Could get another push to the downside, getting us into that deep retracement area, right? We're then looking for over the long term, looking for a price to turn back over and move back to the upside, right? Based off this 4 hour move here, right? So this is part of the C to D move, right? But just to pull back on the lower time frame, and we're looking for another low price to then get back long, right? So we could see another push to the downside like this, and then a continuation up, all right? And what that looks like within the Fibonacci sequence, you find that here on the 1 hour. Boom. Right? We're pushed down into the sweet spot, and then we'll look for buying opportunities to get back long. C to D move, right? From the 80-20 to the C to D, 618, 786, 86 range. All right. So that one was also interesting, right? Tons of bouncing back and forth, but Benny always says it, right? It's not about timing it right. It's about getting the direction right. And we have the direction right. We've been sitting short on it. It just took its time to get there, right? And we had the fundamental catalyst to push in that direction, right? So boom, there we go. So we got to that 382, that TP1, and now we're looking to see if we get to that TP2 level. Okay. So that one played out in our favor. Questions here on the Aussie Swiss? No?
Nope.
All right. Cool deal. Just dropping this back in there. All right, cool. So that's the Aussie Swiss. The Aussie dollar. This one got hit on. All right, this one got hit on. So we knew, similar to that Aussie CAD, that we had potential 80-20 opportunity. I mean, a crown pattern forming here, right? And that right tip, that right tip formed, pushing down, right? We got daily support 64,530, right? So coming down to the 4, we also identified that we had a deep retracement. Didn't quite get to that 618 level, but price turned over and it's pressing down, right? So price is moving to the downside, C to D move in favor of the dollar, right? So we had those things lining up here on this one, but we're looking for a pullback before we got that continuation, right? So coming down here to the 1, we're looking for this 80-20 here to give us a pullback to then get back short. It never came. The price just continued to run. Right. So I did take this move to the upside, got stopped out for 30, 40 pips. Right. But it all comes out in the wash, right? So that one stopped us out. Now we're looking for a reset to see if we get a pullback and continuation to the downside, right? This one we could see continue moving to the downside, kind of also depending on what the Fed has to say tomorrow. So we'll watch and see how the market responds to that rate statement and that press conference to give us more guidance on how this one could move in the short term and in the long term. All right. So stopped out on the 1. Right, and we'll look to see, but the higher time frame move, C to D move on the 4, is playing out as expected. Right, so that's a longer term swing. Okay, questions on the Aussie dollar? Nope. All right, cool deal. So those are the Aussies. We'll get to the crosses in a second. CAD yen. Vinny's been talking about this one and move long. Right, came down, bounced off that daily support. Boom. Run to the upside. Now we're looking to see how deep that run goes. Right. I was looking to see if we get a head and shoulders type action there, but we're just running. Okay. So, excuse me, but it makes sense. This is our daily look, 618 retracement. So we'll watch this 111, 822 level to see if we break that and continue long, or do we hold there again and turn back over and push back down. Right. But we're headed back there again. Coming down to the 4, similar story. We got a 50% retracement here. Got a 50% retracement there, right? And now we're pushing back to the upside, okay? So we'll watch this 111 zone and see what happens here. Coming down to your 1. There's your move. This was the 80-20 here that set up that move, that run to the upside. Donette still holding. Beautiful. Great work. Excuse me. Great work, right? This was the 80-20 here, pushed down into that daily support level, right? This one failed, right? This is the one we got stopped on early. Boom, right? But then price came right back. Shallow retracement, 118 and 127 zone. Boom. Started us to the upside. We took out that A, we flipped the fib, and now we're looking at it to the upside. Just missed that D extension there, right? We'll likely go ahead and push and get that. So now we're looking at price continuing to the upside. We'll look for a reset on the fib. Once we touch that 111,006 number, and then look for a pullback, potentially continuation up to this 111,822 zone. All right. So that is the Cadian. Questions on this one? Anybody
Maybe
else still
since we
holding
have
it?
Canadian news today, that's why I was thinking maybe I'll get out. I don't know.
Yeah, that Canadian news is going to be interesting.
Mhm.
Going to be interesting to see what happens there. Right. What I say, this one may not be much of your worries, if I'm being honest, right? Because your cross is the yen here, right? So we know things are still pushing to the upside. So maybe you take some off the table. And if we do get a pullback to retest that resistance level there, right? And then look forward to continue moving to the upside like that. So maybe you do take some off the table and then allow just the rest to run to your take profit level, or just allow it all to be. And we'll monitor once it gets there. It's going to be interesting to see what that data has to say. Hold on one second, everybody. All right. Any other questions here on the Cadian?
Thank you.
That daily target was like what, like 932 pips, I think, right? That is chasing.
Yes. Off the 618. Yep, 960.
960. Okay.
Yep, 960. Yep. So it's on the go. It's on the go. Right. So, like I said, if you trade on the short term, maybe protect your profits. If you're taking this longer term swing, allow the market to do what the market does. All right. That's the CAD yen. Swiss yen. All right. So we broke out of the consolidation on the daily time frame. Right. We got that 382 there. Consolidating in this 118, 127 zone. Right. We broke out to the downside. Now we're pulling back. So we'll see how deep this pullback into that zone goes. Okay. The extension on this is 176, 634. It'll be interesting to see if we get there. But I'm watching this range first, right? As we push back into it. If we break out to the top side of this, then that 176, 634 come back into sights for me. But not looking there at the moment. On the weekly time frame, you got an 80-20 scenario, right? So we're just range bound right now. The extension here is in line with that daily D extension also. On the monthly time frame, you also got an 80-20, right? So that 80-20s all around, except on that daily. So we're looking to see what happens here, right? How does the market move? Coming down to the 4, you already got a deep retracement, 786 level. So you're matching the extension here is 173, 370. So again, that will call for a breakout to the top side of this range, right? So I'm watching this closely to see how price responds in the zone, right? I ran the sub fib to the downside just to track this swing here. I did play this I took profit at the 382. This was a sub fib 8020. Boom, move back to the upside. Now we're sitting at the 618 retracement on the sub fib. So just watching to see what happens and see how the market moves within that range. Okay. So just wanted to touch on that one, but not a ton doing just yet, as we will continue to watch and see the reactions. We'll see what happens as the market opens as well to the Bank of Japan information, right? Boom. So on the one, you'll have a fresh AB boundary once this candle closes. Nope, sorry, you need 2 more hours here for AB boundary. So yeah, just watching that move to the upside to see how far it goes. Okay, questions on the Swiss yen? No.
Nope.
Cool deal. We also got Swiss rate statement later on in the week as well. So it could also give us some insights here. I think it's on Thursday. So once we get to Thursday, we'll see if we get some insight on how this moves also, right? And catalyst in one direction or the other. This Euro Aussie, Benny's been on this one, right? 618 retracement, move to the upside. We got to pull back down to a daily level of support. We'll look at on the lower time frame, but then we got another push to the upside, right? So as we move down, I'll run the fib, right? That A just got taken out on that push down, and then price turned over, right? I have to go back and check that, done it. I missed that. The dollar hit a D extension on the 4 hour, the 1 hour, the 30 minute, and the 15 minute. I'll go back to that before we wrap it up. But we come down to the one here on this Euro Aussie, right? We took out the A on the 4, but here on the 1, 618 retracement, double bottom, move to the upside. Took its time in this consolidation, and then boom. And then the extra push today with the news out of Australia last night, right? So we're looking for pullbacks and continuations. We're pulling back now, right? Let's look for a pullback here, and then look for price to continue making its way to the upside. We're looking at 435 pips on the overall move. We get to the D extension at 169.069. All right. So we're making our way. So out of that zone, that's 194 pips to the upside and a few more hundred to go. Okay. Questions on the Euro Aussie? Anybody still holding this one?
Yep. That and the pound Aussie.
Yes, sir. Definitely about to get there. Been some good moves on that.
I'm convinced that I think I'm starting to realize the CDD moves are better on the 4 hour and the 80-20 is better on the lower time frame.
Okay. I like the analysis, right? And the beautiful thing about all of it, especially the process you're going through, done that, is you can look at your data and see it, right? And that's why journaling is so important to identify those trends for yourself, right? Which ones feel better for you and which ones do the data say is better for you, right? So it's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
a
because when
great
they have
assessment.
news and stuff, it doesn't affect it on the 4. Like I took Euro JPY and had a nice 80-20, and then the news came up and took everything. I was like, oh no. On the higher time frame, it was good.
Yep. On the higher time frame. That's why the beauty of swing trading and the wider stops, right? It just allows price to swing, and it takes all of that into account, the fundamental side, in the announcements, things like that, right? And ultimately, those things push the market in the direction it's going to go anyway, right? So we're able to just stay out of the way and allow the market to do what it does. It makes it beautiful. That's a beautiful assessment, though. Beautiful assessment. So look at that pound Aussie and similar story, right? We had the push to the upside. We got a 382 double bottom here at that daily support, and we're pushing long. Okay, we got to break through these daily levels here, but we're headed to the upside. Come down to the 486 retracement, stayed inside the AV boundary. Beautiful push up, deep retracement, and then we turn back over and making our way back to the upside. Right, so battling some of these resistance levels here, but headed to the upside on that 255 pip move long. Right, I didn't get this move here, but I entered this one here on the move to the upside, and look out on the lower time frame to see that move as well. But moving to the upside, boom.
Can you go back to
Right.
the daily, Ryan?
Yeah.
It just looked like a crown that it could come back.
Potentially, that's in the back of my mind as well. Donet's looking right here. So net rate statement for the UK would be important, right? But potentially for sure, if we get a retracement out of that. Yeah, if we get a retracement out of that, we'll have to watch that and see. But yeah, yeah, I definitely see you there. We'll see what happens. UK is on Thursday as well. So we'll see what they have to say. Things have been relatively good for them, but we'll see what's said to see if that does give a catalyst for a pullback on the pounds. We'll have to watch that and see, but we'll track it.
I
We'll
wasn't
track
even
it for
looking
sure.
that far. Like I was looking at the
Oh, you're
like
looking closer than that?
yeah, maybe
Oh,
come down to
a bearish crown here.
mhm.
Oh, okay. Hold on. So you're looking at this one here.
Yeah.
Something like nope, not even that. My bad. Let's turn that up. Right here.
No, over to the left. If you come back over before
More
it
to the left.
before it broke the
This
over
says
left.
your right tip here.
No, over to more left to the left. Yeah, those right there. Mm-hmm.
No, I don't see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Because you said you're not looking at the larger one. You're looking at one in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Hmm. No, I don't see one there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see one there. Send me a screenshot of what you have, if you could, please.
Mm-hmm.
Curious on what you got. But yeah, so pushing to the upside there, right? So 4 hour, we got the move there. We come down to the 1, and this is how I was able to dissect my entry on this one. We had this AB boundary coming off this low, right? We had price move to the upside, and this is what it looked like in action. Okay. Price moving to the upside. There's an 80-20 here to the downside. Boom, took out the A, right? That A got taken out. So we flip our fib and run it to the downside. Boom. So what happened is, right? Didn't get anything here, but price pushed back up and took out this A boundary here. Right? So with the back and forth, right? Just flip my fib, run it to the upside. So now I'm looking for, there was an 80-20 here as well, which I missed this one, right? But price moved back down. There was my move here. Price did take out the A, but my stop was a little bit lower, right? So I was able to stay in this one to the upside, and then boom, price swung to the upside, right? But that stop made sense when you look at the 4 hour time frame, right? And this move was all a part of that retracement and that consolidation. So I'll bring this up here, right? So all of that I just went through was this move right here was all of this on the lower time frame, right? So that pushed down, that took out the A, but my entry was there, right? 618 level. Now I got the entry here on the move to the upside. So me having to stop a little wider makes sense in the grand scheme of things because we still had the A boundary on the 4 hour and ultimately a wider stop for this swing, right? So on that swing to the upside, boom, stayed in. That's how I got the entry there on the move to the upside. You guys follow me on that? I know it was a lot, but it was playing the smaller waves on the 1 hour time frame, looking for an entry for this larger move to the upside. All still within the Fibonacci sequence as we teach it. Right? So that's the pound Aussie. We're still running long. So there we are on the fib to the upside. Okay. Now we're running. All right. So we're looking for pullbacks and continuation. So look for a low price here. And then we'll look for price continue moving like that. Questions on the pound Aussie? No.
Nope.
All right, cool deal. Told them that we'll bounce back to the dollar. We got to get Logan ready for school. So I did have a few others, but we will chat about those later. So she's looking at D extension on the 1 hour hit, boom. D extension on the 4 hour. You're looking on this move to the upside here too, Donette?
Yeah, the move to the upside on the
All right,
4 hour.
yeah. 4 hour, 1 hour, 30-minute. Yep, all of them. Boom. Right. Beautiful confluence there. Moves to the upside. D extensions hit. So now we're looking for pullbacks. Bingo. Bingo. Beautiful. It's beautiful how the sequence works. 618 retracement. D extension achieved. Questions on anything that we covered this morning? No? Cool deal. Benny, anything before we wrap it up, bro?
No, sir. Great session as always.
Appreciate you, man. All right, good people. Appreciate you guys posting your setups in the community. Let's continue doing that so we can see where everything is. We'll also get other setups posted that pop up. You guys have a phenomenal Tuesday, and we'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for this pre-New York session. We'll talk then. Peace.
Appreciate it.